COMX-TV. We are your weekly guide to the vast world of comic books. I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Steve Prisbilla. Thanks for joining us today. We got some great news and info for you, starting with some of the hot new cards coming out, all new book reviews,
An interview with Austin Janowski, and of course the dual review. So let's kick off today's show with the mainstream review and Steve.
Why, thank you.
Now, is our mainstream review.
For my first mainstream review this week, I'm going with Primal Force and number 5 from DC Comics. Cost us $1.95. Steven Seagal is the writer, not Steven Seagal, Steven Seagal. Ken Hooper is the artist, and Wade Von Grabaga is the inker. Oh, long last name there. A group of kids visit a shaman to get turned into demon nightmares they have always wanted to be, and it's up to Primal Force to stop them from killing off the town of Alice Springs, Australia. Now, the story in this one, it starts out slow, but it picks up speed towards the end. Compared to a typical DC title, this one is a little different. It's more violent and surprisingly drawn different. I like this one because of the different type of characters and a different storyline. Pick it up. On the price index, this one goes for about 8 cents a page. Okay, for my second mainstream review this week, Restaurant at the End of the Universe, adapted from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. $6.95 from DC Comics. Douglas Adams is the creator, and John Carnell is the person who did the adaptation for the book. There's a theory which states if anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced with something more bizarre. And there is another theory, and it's already happened. People are being turned into sperm whales. Now, I don't understand more than 5 pages in this book, but it was drawn very well, and there's a lot of unusual characters in this book. And neat background scenes, but definitely not worth the $6.95 cover price. Not a good idea unless you follow the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Holy moly, 17 cents a page. That's a lot of money for a comic book. Think twice on this one. And for my third and final book this week, this is the one everybody's been waiting for. X-Files number 1 from Topps Comics. Sells for $2.50. Stefan Petrucca is the writer, Charles Adlard is the artist, and George Freeman is the inker. Scully and Mulder investigate a series of prophecies to find out why the church is protecting these prophecies so hard as to kill to keep them a secret quiet. If the Holy Mary is really an alien. The story in this book is just like watching the X-Files on TV. Fast-paced action with a surprise ending. The artwork is very choppy in this book, but the story leaves no holes. It explains it all. Remember, something is out there. This one on the price index is 10 cents a page, and everywhere I went, this one was sold out. So when they reorder, be sure to put in your order to pick this one up. And that's it for the mainstream reviews this week.
Topping this week's Comics TV news, Robert Ciaradio of Razorback Comics held open house the past couple Fridays to get people interested in his Words and Images Academy of Visionary Arts. This is the area's only comic book school that teaches more than just how to draw. Yes, sir.
Ready? 3, 2.
Topping this week's Comics TV news, Robert Ciaradio of Razorback Comics held open house the past couple Fridays to get people interested in his Words and Images Academy of Visionary Arts. This is the area's only comic book school that teaches more than just how to draw.
Why don't you give us a little, since you mentioned the class.
Sure.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the classes, what you're doing with the classes.
Okay. The school's called Words and Images Academy of Visionary Arts. It's presented by Razorback Studios. And basically what I do is I get the students, they come in, and number 1, we set up, the 3-week program is what I'm really promoting. It's really good. It teaches them to illustrate their favorite superhero or villain. Week 1, we pencil. Week 2, we ink. Week number 3, they color. So they could be doing full color work at their level.
So how do you take somebody that comes in that, let's just say that they're a poor
Mediocre
artist.
student and they're looking to improve?
Yeah.
Well, we start out with, I have these charts here. Hand chart, face chart, and what I do is I have them draw, redraw. Get this chart. It's going to take time for anyone to develop this out. Even if you got the talent, it takes time. Go home, do the chart, come back next week. Let's teach. A lot of the artists, they stop at penciling. A lot of young artists, they stop at penciling. That's all they do. Sketch after sketch. I'm like, try the inks. Let's do some inks. I don't care how it looks. From the inks, what we do is we go to the third step. Over the inks, now let's use some color. Just try. You have to teach them to find out what they're good at. Because a lot of these guys may be phenomenal colorists. And all they're doing is penciling. You know, they may have a great feel for color. And all they're doing is penciling. So what I'm showing the students is take it to the level that you can, even on a small scale. And just with time and a lot of effort, there it goes.
And with a lot of the big companies, obviously inking and penciling is completely separate, and a lot of inkers do a lot of the artwork over the pencil. Sometimes, depending on who the artist is, sometimes they just sketch in basic ideas, and the inker actually does the artwork.
Well, the whole process is about, like I said, getting them to do the work and finish it. I'm running the classes through the Dragon's Lair in Outland. In the back, we got a real nice studio back there, and I give free classes. I welcome people in, and it's really rewarding to teach them these techniques.
If you want more information, contact RC at Outland in the University Plaza at 835-3362.
Just when you thought it was safe to go into the trading card waters, Skybox, Wildstorm, and Comic Images blow things out of the water with new sets destined to be some of the year's hottest cards. Rob Liefeld of Image Comics plans on releasing a hot new set of trading cards based on his best-selling Youngblood characters. With the help of Stephen Platt, Jay Lee, Chap Yup, Jeff Matsuda, Merritt Michaels, Todd Knock, and Dan Fraga, Skybox will release this 90-card set in April. Each card will have new original artwork on the front and back of each card. All cards will be foil stamped, UV coated, and printed on the heaviest, highest quality paper Skybox has ever used. This series will feature all your favorite characters like Badrock, Shaft, and Chapel. Plus, there will be tons of chaser cards, including Wiggle cards, Sky Disc cards. Plus, each pack will have either stickers, a special merchandise order card, or an instant winner card that you'll get free Youngblood stuff. If you want them, though, you're going to have to dish out some serious cash. Each 8-card pack will cost you $3.99.
Probably the hottest set to be released this year, though, is not Youngblood. Nope. Todd McFarlane's Spawn is hitting the trading card market. The best-selling comic of the 90s with a whole 25 or so issues. Spawn has become a national hit. Also hitting the stores in April, Spawn will be released by Jim Lee's Wildstorm Productions. This 150-card oversized set will feature even more talent than Youngblood, including Joe Quesada, George Perez, Jim Valentino, Bill Sienkiewicz, Jay Lee, Jim Lee, and more. Chase cards include a 12-card painted subset and photograph cards of the Spawn action figures. There will also be a Todd Chrome card featuring Spawn in his new costume. This set looks hot. No price was available at airtime, but definitely look for this set in your shop. In fact, book them now!
Lastly, not to be outdone by Spawn, Jeff Smith's Bone, one of the 90s other hot books, will be releasing Bone 2, all Chromium collection from Comic Images. The first set was one of 1994's best sellers. The new 90-card set will be released in April. The cards will encompass issues 11 through 16 of Bone. The all-Chromium panels, which will be painted by Bone cover colorist David Reed, The backs of the cards will feature a continuation of the tale told in the first card series. Jeff Smith will design 9 new cards for the set. And the chase cards will include Magnachrome cards featuring the cover of issues 11 through number 16, a 3-card subset of Thorn, the series heroine, and a medallion card round out each of the chase cards. Each pack will contain 7 cards and retail for about $1.89. And that's it for comics news this week.
My first book on the Independent Review this week is Sherlock Holmes' Adventure of the Opera Ghost. It's number 1 of 2 from Caliber Press. Stephen Philip Jones is the writer, and Alden Barroza is the artist. The cost is $2.95. This book is Jones' rendition of The Phantom of the Opera and how Sherlock Holmes and Watson would have solved it. The cover is the first attraction drawn by Guy Davis. The story has Holmes and Watson tracking down this apparent ghost haunting an opera house. The artwork is great with a very realistic look to it. The story is also very good. I enjoy Sherlock Holmes, and this translates very well into comic book form. It moved along well, so you didn't have time to lose interest. Overall, I would recommend this book. Kids might find it a little boring, but it's good nonetheless. On the price index, Sherlock Holmes ranks at 10 cents per page. It's a good deal altogether. My next book today is A Distant Soil by Colleen Doran. This is issue number 8 from Doran's Area Press, and it cost $1.75. A Distant Soil is the project that Doran works on when her bill-paying work for the big publishers is done. It's a tale of good versus evil. The leader of the Ovanan resistance movement, Riken, travels through Norfolk, Virginia, looking for recruits for the battle against the evil leaders of Ovanan. They all live in another dimension, and they travel through a gate to get to Earth. Doran is an excellent artist, probably one of the best in the business. Her style is fluid and clean. She draws great faces. The story is very good. It's not released on a regular basis, so look for it. A Distant Soil is 9.5 cents on the price index. Overall, definitely worth picking up. And my last book today is Enchanted Worlds number 1 from Blackmore Publishing. Dan DeBono is the writer, with Mike Vukelik penciling the first story and Jeff Austin the second. It's $2.75. This is a story about Lieutenant Wes Mitchell, whose spaceship has crash-landed on a strange world. He finds the local saloon, stops in, eats, and he learns a little bit of facts about this world. He's discovered as a stranger, and the story begins from there. Apparently this world is set in the Canaan Castle times, which makes Mitchell far superior equipment-wise. Vukelik's art is good, but it's somewhat stiff. The letter balloons don't have arrows, so you don't always know who's speaking. You just have a balloon. Austin's art, on the other hand, in the backup story, shows why he worked on Spawn and Faust. He's an excellent artist, much looser style than Vukelik's. There's a total of 24 pages between the two stories for a cost of 11 cents per page on the price index. It's a little pricey. It's at the borderline. So I'd say wait for the next issue, see if Austin's art is that good. This might be one of the sleeper hits of 95 if it comes out as good as it appears. And that's it for the Independent Review this week.
I'm going to tell you something, Clay.
What is it, Morgan? I'm better than you. I've always been better. I can beat you, Clay. Now, you hit it. And you better hit it fast. I won, Clay. I won.
This week on the Duo Review, the book is called Deathstorm. It's issue number 1.
Legacy of Death Productions presents this book. Russell Evans is the creator at $2.95. Legacy of Death is a new publisher out of the Buffalo area.
They had a trademark problem with Malibu Comics, which forced them to change the book name from Bloodstorm to Deathstorm. And what is Deathstorm about, Steve?
Deathstorm is the introduction of the Midnight Syndicate. And Deathstorm, a 13-year-old psychopath who kills everyone in his path.
Well, let's see. I don't think the art is that good. It's kind of mediocre. The story is not very original. It's something that you've seen a million times in all these image books and Malibu and everybody else under the sun. They're trying too hard to be an image book or a Malibu book.
That's what they're trying to do.
They're trying real hard to do it, and unfortunately, Evan's art cannot do that. I believe what he's got to do is he's got to either learn to draw within his ability.
Yeah, within his means, not try to push himself to draw something he can't.
Or get someone else to draw it, because maybe with some better artwork, the story wouldn't be too bad. You know, you might be able to read it a little better, but the art was, it's the people mainly.
Yeah, like Mike said, here we go. Here's a 13-year-old kid that's pumped up on steroids. He's huge. He's in a jail. He breaks out. He kills the guards. Anybody who gets in his way. Here comes this new superhero team to recapture him. Typical image story.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Now I found some of the artwork in here better than an average independent.
Yeah.
I gotta admit it. Some of it was very detailed.
Better than some of it. Yeah, there's a lot of detail in his people. I don't know. There's something about the people. The faces, I think, is one of the big things. The faces are not good at all.
Well, some of them are.
Yeah,
there are a couple, but
depending on what angle they're from.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
But
I would, for one reason alone, I would recommend this book, and that's because they're local guys. They're trying to start a good company. They're trying to do horror, gore, that kind of stuff. They're not trying to do superhero stuff. But this is kind of superhero-y.
Yeah, you got a superhero team with special powers, and so they are superhero-y.
Yeah, I guess they are kind of superhero. But the rest of the titles that they're going to try are going to do, vampires and gore and blood.
Yeah.
And if they can do it, we wish them the best. But unfortunately, I can't. Other than saying pick it up to help your local guy, I couldn't recommend this as a regular book.
Me neither. Me neither.
And it was 12 cents a page on the price index, which makes it a little pricey. But we're also looking at a small publisher. He probably didn't put out more than a couple thousand copies.
Yeah.
He actually had a write-up in Advanced Comics. He got one of the special write-ups. So they must have thought it was a decent book.
Wish you guys a lot of luck.
We wish you luck.
Yes.
In this year, and this future, and another future.
And that's it on Dual Review this week.
The newest comic-related magazine to jump in the battle ring is Combo from Century Publishing. They combined their separate comic and card magazines, and they threw in a whole ton of other stuff, and they squished it all together, hence the name Combo. They appear to be aiming for the comic market and the card market, which is impossible. They do not go together that well. They fall short all around. They make a big deal about Todd McFarlane's interview, but there's less than 3 pages. It's nothing. The biggest section in the book is What's New in Comics at 14 pages. But this is the same information you can get here on COMX-TV, in Wizard, in Hero, or even in the free Comic Shop News. Every other article is about 3 pages long.
Just small chunks of information on different areas with little substance. Let us not forget the price guides. These include comics, action figures, cards, and more.
There are a couple good short articles, but overall they fall short. My biggest gripe is how they try to hit all the hot books in their independent and small press section. I don't know if they think that the readers are stupid and they're going to just buy the books because, oh, look at independent small press. No, it doesn't work that way. We did all those books months ago. They're all old news. My personal opinion here, not that good. I think they fall short overall, need a few issues. If they're trying to be too much, and they're not hitting.
Yeah, I agree. I did some checking, and the price guides that they have in there don't seem to be up to date. If you check Wizard and Comic Buyer's Guide, they'll give you a more up-to-date price. If a book sells for $2.25 and it's going for $4, they got it for like $3.50 only. It's not up to date. They're trying too hard to imitate the other books. Bad choice. Real bad choice.
And that's it on Combo today. Ugh. Next today, as we do almost every week, we have an interview, and today is with Austin Janowski of 7th Millennium. They're out of New York State here over in, what the heck's that place? Utica. Out of Utica.
Utica.
So let's go talk to Austin.
What's up, Lish?
How did you get your start in comics?
Well, about 3 or 4 years ago, I went to my first comic book convention in Syracuse, New York. And as an afterthought, I brought some inking samples. And Bart Sears and Graham Nolan decided that I should show and bring it. And that's really how I got started. It got passed right down the table. I got a lot of criticism and some good pointers, and I just worked out from there.
What type of comic-related training did you have?
Well, I've been taking art classes since elementary school. As, you know, formal training, not too much really. The equipment that I use, I've used in other classes for a long time, but as a whole, no real formal training.
Who are your biggest influences in the comic book industry?
Oh, man. Let's see. Well, they got to be inkers, which is who I am. Cam Smith, Mark Farmer, Terry Moore, just recently. Let's see, Wendy and Richard Peeney. I love ElfQuest. It's great. And Guy Davis, the penciler on The Realm, really got me into it. That's it.
Do you read any comics?
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite?
My favorite. It is a toss-up between ElfQuest, New Blood, and The Incredible Hulk.
What makes your style different than from other creators?
I don't know if my inking style is so much different than others. I like making mine very clean, very crisp. My style is very easy to look at. There isn't an awful lot of lines. I don't like having a lot of lines in it.
What do you think about the current state of industry right now compared to, say, 10 years ago?
I think there's a complete glut. I think it's gone absolutely overboard. It's crazy, man. I mean, 10 years ago, I mean, Marvel and DC were it, and you had a couple independents, but nowadays, you know, every single person, including myself, is trying to get into the industry. So it's exploded.
What do you think is needed to bring new readers into comics?
With so many titles out, it's really hard to pick what's good and what isn't. And they're getting more expensive all the time, so you really aren't sure what to spend your money on. But I think if you have a good quality story and characterization, good quality art, if you do it on a timely basis, you're going to win readers over.
What do you tell people trying to break into the industry? Little hints, little pointers.
Well, I tell them not to be afraid to show your stuff at conventions and sending it into the big companies. Don't be afraid to take criticism. If a person takes time out to go through your work and show points and whatnot, then you know you're doing something because they're showing interest. So, you know, don't be afraid to spend some time and get your work bashed because it's going to help you out.
Can you earn a decent living doing comics?
It's going to take a while, but if you're persistent and you know what you're doing is good and you just keep improving, yeah, you can. You can if you get the right break.
What did you do before you came into the comic book industry?
Well, I'm still doing it. Comic book, plus I work at Radio Shack. I'm the manager there. Yeah, Radio Shack. Also, I got a family, got a 10-week-old baby, and which takes up an awful lot of my nights. But I'm trying to focus full-time work on my comics, but you know, you got to do something to pay the bills until this hopefully pans out, so Radio Shack is it.
What is your greatest accomplishment in comics right now?
It just happened. I just got my my first book published, my first issue called 7th Millennium, out of Allied Comics. I mean, it's warm still. It got printed on Friday. You know, it's still got some steam coming off of it. To date, that's the biggest, I think.
Do you believe or think that there is any racism or sexism in the comic book industry?
As a whole, no. I think some companies kind of lean towards it, I think, unfortunately, the way it is, you know, with the women being dressed the way they are and how they're drawn, it sells comics. It could be considered. It all depends. As a whole, I really don't think so, but there are individuals that, yeah, they do go a little overboard.
Comics TV, we told you before, we're telling you again,
As we always do.
this right here is an official ballot form for the 1994 Comics TV Awards. Well, what are the Comics TV Awards? They include Best Mainstream Title, Best Independent Title, Miniseries, Cover Art, Favorite Artist, Favorite Writer, Best Graphic Novel, Humor Book, Inks, Color, #1 issue, Best Character, and the Best Interview on Comics TV in 1994. Yes. So what you got to do, you got to take yourself, scoot your little butt down to your local comic book shop, pick up one of the official entry blanks,
Yeah.
fill it out, fill out your name and address, your telephone number, and your age, because we want to know how old you are. And you either bring it back, fill it out right there, leave it there, or bring it back to the store, or you can mail it to Comics TV. And when do these have to be back in by? March 4, 1995. Because in a few weeks from then, we will be airing the Comics TV Awards for 1994. And what we wanted to make sure that you knew is that you filling this out, you are voting for this. This is just like the Comics Buyer's Guide Fan Awards, where the fans pick the winners. The most winners, you know, the most choices we have for each one, they're going to be the winners. We're not going to do it. We're just going to make the final tabulations and everything. And that will
It's going to be
the
up
winner.
to yous to figure out.
If there is a tie, that's the only thing. It doesn't say it on here, though. But if there's a tie, we will make the final decision on that. But otherwise, the more times, or the more people that vote, the better chances there are for a good selection. You can only vote once, because if you vote more than once, we toss your other ballots out. And in order to get you to do this, we've got some great prizes. We've got some signed books. We've got cards. We've got some card sets. We've got
Posters.
What else we got?
Graphic novels.
We've got all kinds of things that we're going to be giving away. And remember, I said signed books. And these aren't just from any flaky people. We're going to be getting some good books from